Yeah.
Put it near.
Oh. Okay, is the battery okay?
No, battery is good. So it doesn't come in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with the Sahanavatu. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Wow. What is birth? What is death? How are these related to four states? Waker, dreamer, deep sleep, and Turiya. Wow. Birth is the beginning of this body that we know. So when you say I am born, obviously we are celebrating the birthday. So we are obviously celebrating the beginning of this body and this life. So that's what our birth is defined from with respect to the body. And therefore death is also defined as the death. That's a simple answer. From the point of Vedanta, birth is the subtle body entering into the gross body. So according to Vedanta, the subtle body never dies. So the death is the separation of the physical, the gross body, matter. So subtle body, the mind and the intellect, along with the vasanas, it travels into the direction where the next set of vasanas are ready to germinate. So it tries to find a field conducive for the vasanas to exhaust. And therefore, it's not the death of the subtle body, only death is only of separation of the gross and the subtle. So who is an individual? Individual is not the body. Body is only a matter I am taking convenient enough for transactions in the world. So when Arjuna starts crying, says you are crying where there is no reason for you to cry. Right? Natvevaham jatanasam natvam neme janadipaha nataiva nabhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. There was never a time I was not there, never a time you are not there, never a time all these kings were not there. So who is referring to? He is not talking about the body. He is referring to the subtle body that makes an individual. As we go into this Upanishad, says what makes an individual is an individual different from other individual. It's not the body, because each individual has his own likes and dislikes and asanas and all that, and that defines an individual character. So therefore, we don't consider the birth of a subtle body. For subtle body never is born. Never born in the sense of the time wise, because the concept of birth is the beginning of something. Before that he was not there, therefore he is now there, therefore you call it a birth. So what was not there, what is there? Only this gross body. So according to Vedanta, entering into the womb of the mother is the beginning of the life. And that's the birth. What is death? Death is in the 15th chapter of Gita, Krishna describes that. where the subtle body collects the pancha pranas as well as the jnanendriyas and the karmendriyas. That is not necessarily the golakam. Golakam is the object, like eyes are golakam. But sense of sight or sense of hearing, those are the 5 pranas. Along with the 5 pranas, it moves to a field. And that's what is death. So separation of a gross body from a subtle body is the death. How are these related to for the 4 states, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper and turiyam? So given a birth, you have waker, dreamer and deep sleep. So having given a body, I have a waking state with reference to the body. Sthula Sariram is there in the waking state. So I am transacting in the world outside with the gross body, and that you call it a waker, which is different from other gross bodies that I deal with. In the dream where I am removing the gross body, just now he was describing, removing means detaching from the gross body, and I enter into my own world where I create a body conducive to the vasanas of the dream. There, for a dreamer has a dream body, which is gross body for him, because there is a matter also which is different from me. So there is a gross matter, and also he has a mind. So he has a subtle matter. But gross matter and subtle matter of a dream altogether is only subtle in terms of the waker, because the waker's mind is only projecting all that. So these are reference states in terms of what reference one has to realize. But from the body point, gross body point, or physical body that we are familiar with, the waking state, you have a dream state, which is different from a waking state. And from a waker's point, dream is not really real. Therefore, I would say the tiger that was chasing me in my dream is not really real, and the millions of dollars I have in the dream is not really real. So I am back to the same. So I can have very big, very rich in the dream, but my waking state, that cannot be transacted. So from a waker's point, dream is not real. But waking is also not real, because now you have to define what is reality. Reality, according to Veda, is Trikala Abaditam Satyam, that which remains the same in all periods of time, does not undergo any change. Alone is real, everything else is transactionally real. So is ring real? Ring is only transactionally real, but not really real. Ring is real, ring is different from a bangle. The utility of a ring is different from the utility of a bangle, is different from a necklace, but yet ring is not really real, because what is there is gold. You are unnecessarily calling it as a ring, but it's gold only. If you want, you can take a ring and I will take the gold, if it is your ring. So the gold is substantive, is the reality that doesn't change, undergo any change, alone is real. So everything is Jagat. Jagat means Jayate, Gacchati, that keeps on changing, but that which in every change there has to be changeless entity. That's what is called conservation of mass in science, because A plus B is equal to C plus D. That's what we learned in chemistry. Right? Then children asked to balance the equation. What does balance means? The weight here should be weight same. The matter here should be the matter same. Matter is conserved. That which remains the same in the transformation alone is real. But for us, even the waking state itself is not real, because we dismiss the waking state to go to dream state, and dismiss the dream state to go to a deep sleep state, dismiss the deep sleep state when we come to waking state. None of the states are really real, keep changing, but what is not changing, which is changeless in all the changes, is that I am a dreamer, I am a waker, I am a sleeper. Dreamer, waker, sleeper changing, but I am not changing. That changeless entity alone is real. That's what has to be understood. So how are these related 4 states? Waker, dreamer, deep sleep, and turiyam. Turiyam is the 4th, but 4th is not really state. Na anta pragyam na vai. In the Mandukya, 4th, the mantra talks about the turiyam. But there, the description of turiyam is negation of all the 3 states. Na anta prajna, na bhi prajna, na veta prajna. na prajnana ghanam, na pragyana prajna. Then adrishnam avyaharim, all that, and then says shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma sa vigneya. Says chaturtham manyante. It is called the fourth only because it's different from three, but it pervades all the three. I am there in the waker, I am there in the dreamer, I am there in the deep sleep state. But I am neither a waker nor a dreamer and deep sleeper, because these are only vesham, the costume that I am wearing for a particular state to experience in the particular world. But I am different from states that are, because the states are changing, but I am not changeless entity. That alone is real, and that is Turiyam. And if you understand Turiyam, then we understand the truth. The four states refers to the state of what? Just now we said the fourth one is not a state. Turiyam is not a state. It is Chaturtham Manyante. Upanishads are very careful. It says it is called a fourth state to distinguish from the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep state, but it's not really a fourth state because it pervades all the three states. So therefore, it's not really fourth, but it is the absolute state because it's changeless. There is nothing beyond that. That which is changeless, that which is eternal, that's why it's called Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That I am has to be understood, and that is not a state, but that is the reality of all the states. That's what the Turiyam description provides you that. There is a equivalent description also in the chapter that we are going to do. That will come anyway. Hari Om Sadaji is Shankara Bhashya, available in English. Oh, Shankara Bhashya on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, available Swami Madhvananda. You cannot download it actually. But there are also another Swami also, I'm not sure, also is free, available download. But I can guarantee if you read that, you will be thoroughly confused. Because the language itself is mystic, and one has to be really careful in understanding it. You need a teacher. That's why scripture itself says that Vijnanartham sam Gurum eva adhigachet. Gurum eva means you have to approach a teacher alone. And Samitpanihi Sotriyam Brahmarishtam means you have to approach a teacher who himself is Sotriyam. Sotriyam means the one who has studied the scriptures under a competent teacher. Who is a competent teacher? The competent teacher is the one who studied the scripture under his competent teacher. So it goes all the way to the Lord. Guru is called the Guru Parampara is there, where there is a sampradayam of teaching, a methodology of teaching, because the student has been exposed what are the problems involved in understanding. And therefore, the one who has studied under a teacher, how long you have to study? So it's in the Srotavyaha, Mantavyaha, in the Yajnavalkya teaches his wife, Maitreyi, my dear Maitreyi, you have to listen to the scriptures. Srotavyaha means you have to listen to the scriptures under a teacher for how long? For a prolonged length of time under a competent teacher. How long? Until that how long question itself is not there, gets dissolved. Until it's crystal clear. What's a crystal clear? You know, the J. Krishnamurti makes a beautiful statement. So it's not an understanding as a thought, but it's an understanding as a fact. That's what you understand. Now we'll say, what is understanding? We all know that happiness is not out there, right? Do we understand it? We understand it as a thought. Why? Because as long as, yes, happiness is not in a cup of coffee, but you know, real coffee. I just came from Madras. Good hot cup of Madras coffee is real happiness. Afterwards we can talk Vedanta, but good hot cup of... Really? One more cup of happiness? No, sir, I had. No, this is a cup of happiness. How about one more cup? Maybe one more cup I tolerate. Third cup, it becomes misery. Even Madras coffee also. Why? Because there is no happiness in the cup. Happiness is not in any object. Happiness doesn't come with any object. But I attribute happiness in a cup of coffee because I gave a value for it. And that left a vasana in me to repeat that experience again and again. But the happiness comes when my mind is calm and quiet, peaceful, because that peace came because of cup of happiness only. But the happiness is from my own self. Logically you can analyze and we can say, yes, that is true, that is very true. But after the class is over, everybody will go after happiness, right? Because it's only understanding, logically it's true, everything is true. It's only logically, intellectually we understand Vedanta. What do we have to do now? Now I have to do something else. That means we are not understood. Understood as a fact. For that only, constant srotavya, listening has to be done until it has become my own internalizing. Why it doesn't, even though we understand it, we understand logical, yeah, this is a hand, this is a, we put all that, this is a light, you are not seeing. At the same time, I can guarantee that after the class is over, we still do not see, we still external, superficial reflections are only real. Reflecting medium are only real, but not the absolute there. Why this understanding has not sunk in? Particularly because we have what we call, we have a glasses through which we are seeing all the time, and those are called the glasses of ragadveshas. We have likes and dislikes are clouding our vision. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world the way we want. Why? Because of, it's called Jiva Srishti is there on top of Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara Srishti is the same, whether you like it or not, it is the same. But I like this one, I don't like that one, all that is my value system superimposed on that. Coming from Andhra, I like good hot food, that is happiness. Whereas the other fellow says, no, you want a little bit more sweet. If you are from Gujarati, you will say everything has to be sugar. Right? I don't know that. Swami Chinmayana used to describe this beautifully. It was in Houston, where all are Gujaratis there. He says, I went to sleep. And he describes all Andhra food and Mysore food and Kerala food. He thinks Kerala rasam is the best rasam in the world. And then he says, then I got up and I back to same Gujarati food. So his description is something. But anyway, value system depends upon my superimposed ragadveshas. That means vasanas are expression of ragadveshas. I am seeing the world through those goggles, therefore my vision of the reality is distorted. So what does the yoga, karma yoga and upasana yoga, all those yogas are meant for cleaning my glasses. So that I can see as it is rather than what I projected to be. The raga dveshas has to be. That's called purity of the mind. So there are no more questions. Very good. So we have 5-10 more minutes. You can relax. And we'll start at 2 o'clock sharp. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We are going to analyze it deeply about the deep sleep state. One more? Wait a minute. You said there's one more. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I missed it. Hari Om Sadananda Ji 4:3:10 says, Sahi Karta, if I am the creator of my dream world, why don't I have control on my dream and what and how it is? Is the same with Brahman, who is Akarta in respect to the creation of the world. That is, Brahman has no control and Jagat is out of control of anybody. Thank you. Okay. First of all, look at from the Ishvara point. From Brahman point, there is no creation even. Because Brahman means infiniteness. Creation involves a modification. And infinite cannot undergo modifications because it's infinite. Only finite things can get modified, not infinite. So from infinite point, there cannot be any modifications. Therefore, there cannot be any creation from the point of Brahman. Just as I said, from the gold point, there are no ornaments. There is no creation of ornaments. It is gold, just gold. You are calling different things as a different name only you are changing, but it's only gold. So gold has never become any ornaments from the gold point. So from Brahman point, there is no creation. Now we talk about Ishvara. Brahman is different. Brahman is pure, Satchidanam, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. That's the definition of Brahman. So Brahman point, no creation at all. Now Ishvara we brought in. Ishvara is nothing but Brahman with the Maya Shakti. So Daivim Esha Mama Maya Duratyaya. This is my Maya is of the divine origin because it is the one from which he uses. Avyaktanamni Paramesha Shakti Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para Karyanumeya Sudhiyaiva Maya Eya Jagat Sarvam Idam Prasuvate. Sindhi Vivekachudamani it says this Maya is Avyaktanamni, it is unmanifested form, it is the Parameshwara Shakti. Parameshwara means Ishvara comes with the Maya. Brahman we have, that is no distinction of any kind there, no creation. So when you talk about creation, creation has to be done, it is done by Ishvara. Ishvara, how does he create? He creates using Maya Shakti. And what is Maya Shakti? Maya is nothing but all the vasanas put together of the jivas put together forms the Maya Shakti. So if the Ishvara has to create, how is he going to create? What is he going to create? So I went to in the gold shop. They are all selling all sorts of rings and bangles and all that. So I asked the gold, hey, do you have this kind of ring that I want? I said, what kind of ring? No, why are you selling all these useless rings? This is the one that really I want. I said, nobody wants that. If you want, we will make it for you. Why are you not making that? Because there is a market for this, not for that. So gold shop, he makes only the rings and the bangles and the necklace to sell, right? Why? Because there is a demand. Because there is a demand, he is making it. Same Ishvara is going to create not based on his whims and fancies, depending on the demand. What's the demand? Demand is by the vasanas of all beings put together, because I have likes and dislikes and he has his own likes and dislikes, that fellow has his own likes and dislikes. I want to see a world where I can fulfill my likes. That's why I came all the way from India to America, because the likes are fulfilled for here. If it is not here, then I run back there. I am looking for an environment conducive to exhaust my vasanas. Same way, every jiva has its vasanas. You would be born particularly in an environment, in a particular yoni, in particular environment or particular parents only because your vasanas demand that kind of environment. So don't complain about your husband or wife or anything, because that is the environment you need to exhaust your vasanas. Okay? So Lord only blesses the karma paladata. He is only blesses the results of the action. So he provides an environment conducive to exhaust whatever you want. So don't complain, why did God create this kind of world? Because you wanted it, that's all. I create my world depending on my vasanas, you create the world depending on your vasanas, he creates the world depending on his vasanas. The whole world is nothing but everything put together. Therefore, that's the Ishvara. He puts together and makes sure that everyone is vasanas are fulfilled, and those are likes and dislikes also has to be fulfilled. And I have done karma. He's going to talk about the karma and all that in the few. Therefore, his hands are tied. He cannot create anything he wants. His hands are tied by our own vasanas. If you don't like it, change. I have to change my vasanas, you have to change your vasanas, you change our vasanas, then Lord will create better world. So that's in the same way, in the dream also, what is created in the dream, it depends upon my vasanas that I take into the dream. What are the vasanas that I take? Those are ready to, powerful enough that I have to exhaust it. Because my mind is loaded with that. I have to dream that to exhaust it, which I cannot exhaust in the waking world. So that is the God. Now, from the Brahman point, it says, Lord, why did you create? He says, I never created this. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina mastani sarvabhutani. In the Krishna says, all beings are in me. That's what Virata Purusha in the 11th chapter, he shows everybody in me. Mayadadamidam sarvam, I pervade this entire universe. Mastani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avasvitaha. But I am not affected by any of that. Gold can declare, I am there pervading, all ornaments are in me. But their problems do not belong to me. Their woodies, IDs, all sorts of problems of the rings and the bangles, date of birth have nothing to do with me. I am immaculately pure. And that's what Krishna says. Mayatadamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina mastani sarva bhutani. All beings are in me. And then in the very next sloka, according to Gurudev, not even washing his mouth, says nachamastani bhutani. There are no beings in me. Very next statement he says, there are no beings in me. Now, from what reference? From Brahman point there is no creation. From gold point there are no ornaments. Yet, gold can say all ornaments are in me. But the fact is, there are no ornaments in me. Both statements are correct, depending upon the reference state. So, therefore, I can be akarta. I am not the creator. At the same time, I am the creator. Depends upon the reference source. So here akarta with respect to the creation of the world, Brahman has no control. Control is determined by the vasanas. Last one. There's one more? Oh. I'm sorry. We have to finish it also. Okay, let's finish these two. Namaste, uncle. As a scientist, how does one or you justify perceiving the world as Maya and reality? Are atoms not real, as the Vaiseshikas say? Wow. The scientists, we are talking about science is an objective science. I just said, if you don't know how many people are reading the Chinmaya Smriti, I will writing articles on the objective sciences, scientists' point. But anyway, from the objective scientist, that's what his question is referring to, perceive the world as Maya. What I see is not completely real from the point of objective science also. The truth is not really known. Why? Because I am only looking at the objective world using the objective tools that I have and say this is real on that basis. Because I can see, I can experiment, I have data, I have to prove. So any proof that I am longing for or looking for is only an objective tools. So galaxies are there, all these things are there. Yes, at this world, in this frame of reference, that is true. But remember, most important from the Vedanta point is, there are two things. Existence of an object cannot be established without the knowledge of its existence. Let me repeat again. Existence of an object cannot be established without the knowledge of its existence. What does it mean? I have to, knowledge means a conscious entity has to come into picture to say that there is a world there, there is an atom there. Atom doesn't say I am there. Whether it's a quantum mechanics or it doesn't matter what mechanics is, you can think about galaxies. Galaxies don't declare that I am there. I have to discover that galaxies are there, this is there, but means a conscious entity has to come into picture to prove or not to prove the existence of an inert entity. So a scientist, even a scientist, cannot prove himself. He can only prove objects. But what about the subject? Because the world consists of both subject and object. Analysis of only partial data of the waking world, I am making a theories. Are there atoms in the dream world? I am creating so much of matter. Who am I going to ask? A dreamer will say, yes, there are atoms. How can you create a matter? But waker says there are no atoms there. I was sleeping comfortably, but there are rivers and valleys, and he just now created the whole rivers and ponds and all that. There's not even a drop of water that I can take from the waking world to the dream world. Then how can I create this whole thing? But dreamer doesn't question about the water. What is for him is real. So what is real? What is not real? On what basis? That's why basis has to be, you have to include both the subject and object, but the objective tools are not valid or applicable to analyze the subject. Consciousness cannot be analyzed by any object. So scientists are trying to investigate what is a conscious entity, but the very objectification of the science itself makes conscious entity into an inert entity. So you have no tools to analyze it. So therefore, the so-called objective sciences, Shankara says, is also only ignorance. That's why in any science you only become a super specialist. You know what super specialist means? Knowing more and more about less and less, right? So in any field it opens up more and more and more. The more you investigate, the more it opens up, which you didn't know before. And that means your ignorance is growing more than your knowledge actually. That's why it's called in mathematics delta function. You know infinite, you know everything about nothing. And so Shankara calls it, that's all ignorance only, because your ignorance is more. But in Vedanta, we said, Kasminna bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Oh sir, please teach me that knowledge, knowing which I know everything. Say, eka vijñānena sarva vijñānam bhavati. See, that is the glory of that Vedanta. So, that is the real science. But this is a transactional science. Don't neglect this one. This is what I need in order to transact. What day is there, sunrise is there, sunset is there, and he is there. Your bank account is different from my bank account. These are all for transactional purposes. Don't say Vedanta, everything is same. Has to be operated particular. So food is there and garbage is different. Just because I am a scientist doesn't mean that they are all electrons, protons, and neutrons. Sir, yeah, eat some garbage. There's also electrons, protons, neutrons. No. Sir, even though they are electrons, protons, neutrons, food is food and garbage is garbage. I have no problem there. So even though everything is Brahman, at a transactional level, I do differentiate for transactional purposes, understanding Lord is pervading everywhere. It's one. I have to have that vision. At the same time, for transactions, I should differentiate things also. Hari Om Sadaji, given a mind is a reflecting medium, how does one transact in the world matters with different minds, reflecting differently to yours? See, the question itself is ambiguity here, contradiction, if you see. A mind is a reflecting medium. Reflecting mind will deal with the reflecting things only. How does one, who is the one who transacts? It's again the reflecting medium only has to transact. It has no problem. So that's why Vedanta has to be understood at what level, where understanding oneness that pervades the whole thing. At the same time, teacher is a teacher, student is a student, a child is a child, adult is a, all things at the transaction level should go. At the same time, I should have the higher vision in my transaction so that I am unaffected and I play the game of life beautifully. Where as a husband I have to play the husband role, as a wife I have to play a wife role, as a friend I have to play a friend role, as an employee I have to play employee role, no problem. Knowing very well it's all that one itself. That should be the correct understanding of Vedanta. With that we will stop. And we have 5 minutes break, we'll do. For those you stretch yourself, and then we'll get into the